how to cook the Daawat Ultima extra long grain basmati rice. Actually, I do all of my white rice this same way. Technique I discovered just works out perfectly every time. I get the best rice, perfect al dente, the whole 9 yards. By the way, now's a good time to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, wherever that is down there. Also hit the description section. There's some pretty cool products or links to those products down there. And hit the comment section if you have any comments or questions. Okay, so if you've been following along in this series, we washed the rice. We measured out the correct amount of water based on, right, you just want to be a half an inch or the length of one fingernail, about a half an inch of water above the rice. So if you're making 5 cups of rice, do you put in like a 2-to-1 ratio, 10 cups of water? No, that's way too much water. What you do is you just put a half an inch of water above the level of the rice. So I would say, you know, reasonably speaking, if you have smaller hands or bigger hands or whatever, just measure it out so you get about a half an inch of water above the level of the rice. Okay, so the next step in the process was to measure out the salt. I usually do 1 teaspoon of salt for every cup of rice. So 3 cups of rice, 3 teaspoons of salt is what I did. And then I also put in 1 teaspoon of olive oil that is now kind of spreading and doing this whole lava lamp thing in there. But 1 teaspoon of oil or fat or butter or lard or whatever you want to put in there. You don't have to put it in there. You can leave it out if you don't want to, or if you want to. You could also leave out the salt if you're trying to keep your salt low or whatever, or cut the salt in half. Whatever you want to do. This just works the best for me. I think I get the most flavor out of this. So according to the directions, what the directions tell you on this beautiful package is that what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to bring your water to a boil, right? Bring 2 cups of water to a boil. And then in the saucepan tight fitting lid, add your 1 cup of rice, cover and reduce heat to a simmer, and then cook for 15-20 minutes. So they're having you cook the rice on the burner the entire time for 15 to 20 minutes. To me, what happens is you get mushy rice when you do that. I've tried it dozens of times. That's usually what ends up happening. So my technique is kind of a little different. What I do is, with everything in there ready to go, right, giving it a good stir and all the good stuff. So you can still see the salt, the pink salt right there in the middle where I threw it in. But just give it a good stir now, right? Make sure I mix up the salt in the water with the oil and everything else, because this is basically the last time I'm going to have a chance to stir this without screwing up the kernels. What I find is when the rice is cooking, if I tried to go in there and stir it, the impact of the spoon or the spatula or whatever hitting the rice actually bruises it and then makes it mushy. So the trick is stir it now before any of the cooking action happens, right? I got my last little kernel out there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this on to medium, right? Biggest burner I have, I'm going to go to medium. So medium is right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sit here and wait for this to boil. So the rice theoretically started cooking now, right? Whatever timestamp that is, 3 minutes and 26 seconds. Technically, it started cooking now. As the water comes up to a boil, the rice is going to continue to cook. So what I'm going to do is, when the rice hits a boil, when the water is boiling, like it just starts to boil, I am going to shut off the gas, cover it, and let it sit for between 20 to 25 minutes. The longer I can let it sit, the better it is in the long run for keeping those kernels separate, individual, non-sticky. This is non-sticky rice, right? This is, each kernel is its own. As you can see what the final product looks like, each kernel is its own separate entity, right? So water and rice is in there. My salt is in there. My oil, fat, lard, butter, whatever is in there. Turn on the gas on the biggest burner I have, right? That's the small burner for comparison. See the two? So there's the big burner. Biggest burner I have. I'm going to turn on the gas to medium, right? Which was right there. So medium heat. That's what the flame should look like. Okay? So turn it on to medium. Put my pot on, right? With the rice, the water, the salt, butter, whatever. Let it come up to a boil. When it comes up to a boil and it starts to boil, shut off the gas, right? So no more heat, and just cover it and let it sit. There's no stirring. There's no adjusting. Like I said, I had that one chance to stir it when I first put it on the heat, and that's it. I don't want to touch it or stir it anymore because that's going to damage the rice kernels and make them sticky and mushy. If you want sticky and mushy rice, hey, more power to you. Keep stirring and doing whatever. You know, don't rinse it as much. Keep a lot more starch in there. It'll get a lot more stickier. Like, you want to make some Italian arancini with that kind of rice? You can. It's possible. I'm not saying it's going to be the best, but, you know, it's just my opinion. Anyways, so brought it up to boil, shut off the gas, right? I'm going to let it sit for between 20 to 25 minutes. Then I'm going to open the lid, and then that's my chance to fluff with a fork. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos where they say fluff up the rice, and they're using something like this. All you're doing is just damaging those kernels. You want an actual fork that you can stick, like stick a fork in me. You want an actual fork. You want an actual fork that you can stick in there to fluff up the rice, because the idea is to try to go from from all around the sides to the middle and just keep lifting. We'll be back with another video, and I'll show you all that when the rice is done cooking. But for now, you can hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, wherever that is. Go to the comments section. Listen to the tree trimmers trimming the trees. My neighbors, damn it. Trying to do a YouTube video here. It's all about the content. You get the idea. Quick recap, one more time if you didn't get it. Water and rice is in here, measured out accordingly. I do 1 teaspoon of salt for every cup of rice. Then I do 1 teaspoon of olive oil per 3 cups of rice. Even if you're doing like just 1 cup of rice, I might put like a half a teaspoon of olive oil, butter, margarine, whatever. So put it on the stovetop, turn on the gas to medium, right? Medium. Wait for it to come to a boil. Once it comes up to a boil and it starts to boil, I'm going to shut off the gas. Tight fitting lid goes on, or the lid that came with your pot. By the way, this is an AllClad 4-quart with the extra helper handle. I like this one a lot. There'll be a link to this down below in the description, by the way. So I put the lid on, the gas is off. I'm going to let this sit for 20 to 25 minutes. All that residual carryover heat will cook the rice beautifully. It'll expand to 2 or 3 times its normal size. And then I'll be back at you with another video to check out the whole process. Catch you on the next one.